The vast emptiness of uncharted space stretched before the HSS Aegis, humanity's most advanced warship. Its sleek obsidian hull absorbed distant starlight, making it appear more void than vessel. On the bridge, Captain Sarah Chen watched as the quantum drive's coolant systems finally stabilized after their latest jump. "Drive temperature nominal, Captain," reported Lieutenant Rivera from Engineering. "The new containment protocols are holding." Chen nodded, her expression neutral despite the achievement. The Aegis represented humanity's greatest technological leap, a warship powered by an artificial quantum singularity. It could manipulate space-time itself, though the power requirements meant they could only make short tactical jumps before requiring cooldown. "Signal strength increasing," announced Commander Patel at Communications. "Multiple artificial sources detected. We're not alone out here." The bridge crew tensed. This far from Earth, any alien encounter would be humanity's first. Their mission was to test the quantum drive's capabilities, not make first contact. But fate rarely followed mission parameters. "New contacts," Tactical Officer Zhang reported. 3 vessels on an intercept course. Configuration unknown, but their drive signatures suggest significant mass. The alien ships emerged from quantum space like predatory fish, their bronze-scaled hulls reflecting cascades of light. Each was easily twice the size of the Aegis, bristling with what appeared to be weapon emplacements. "We are being hailed," Paddle said, universal translators engaging. The main display flickered to life, revealing a towering figure. Its exoskeletal face bore multiple compound eyes and mandibles that clicked as it spoke. "Unknown vessel, you have entered sovereign Kraxan space. Identify yourself or be destroyed." Chen stepped forward. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the human spaceship Aegis. We are on a peaceful mission of exploration and apologize for any territorial incursion." The alien's mandibles twitched. "Humans? Your species is unknown to us. Explain your presence in this sector." "We recently developed quantum space travel capability," Chen explained carefully. "This is our first venture beyond our local region." The alien commander made a sound like grinding stones. "Impossible. Your vessel's configuration suggests advanced technology. No emerging species could construct such a ship. You will power down and prepare for boarding. The Galactic Empire does not tolerate deception." Chen's expression hardened. "I'm afraid we cannot allow boarding without proper diplomatic protocols. Perhaps we could arrange a neutral meeting point to establish relations." "Your continued resistance confirms your hostile intent," the Kraxan commander declared. "The Empire rules 10,000 worlds. We do not negotiate with single vessels. This is your final warning." The transmission cut. Zhang's hands flew across his console. Multiple weapon systems powering up on all 3 vessels. Their energy readings are off the charts. Chen returned to her command chair. "Shields at maximum, but do not power weapons yet. Let's see what we're dealing with." Brilliant purple beams lanced out from the Kraxan ships, converging on the Aegis. The bridge crew braced for impact, but there was only a slight vibration as the quantum shields absorbed the attack. "Shield holding at 99%, Zhang reported, surprise evident in his voice. "Their weapons are powerful, but the quantum field is converting most of the energy." The Kraxan ships fired again and again, their weapons becoming increasingly erratic. Still, the Aegis's shields remained steady, drinking in the energy like a black hole absorbs light. "They're hailing us again," Patel announced. The Kraxan commander's face showed clear agitation. "What sorcery is this? Our weapons should have vaporized your hull." "As I said," Chen replied calmly, "we come in peace, but we are capable of defending ourselves. Shall we return to diplomatic discussion?" "You dare mock the Empire?" the commander raged. "This sector's entire battle fleet will reduce your ship to atoms. No single vessel can stand against the might of the Kraxan." The transmission ended abruptly. Zhang studied his readings. The 3 ships are retreating at maximum speed. Long-range sensors detect multiple quantum signatures. They're calling for reinforcements. Chen stood, straightening her uniform. It seems the Kraxan Empire isn't used to being challenged. Sound battle stations. If they want to learn about humanity the hard way, we'll give them a lesson they won't forget. As alert klaxons echoed through the ship, the crew prepared for combat. They had never sought this conflict, but they would demonstrate why humanity had survived countless catastrophes to reach the stars. The Kraxan Empire was about to learn that technological advancement wasn't just about weapons. It was about innovation, adaptability, and the unwavering human spirit. The HSS Aegis held position among the stars, its quantum core humming with potential as they awaited the Empire's return. They were one ship against an interstellar empire, but they had something the Kraxan couldn't understand: the incredible ingenuity of the human race. The quantum sensors aboard the HSS Aegis painted a grim picture. 30 Kraxan warships had emerged from quantum space, their formation arranged in a perfect sphere designed to trap a single target at its center. Each vessel dwarfed the human ship, their bronze hulls now adorned with pulsing red war markings. Captain Chen studied the tactical display, her mind already formulating strategies. Analysis of their formation, Commander Zhang. They're maintaining exact distances between ships, Captain. The A suggests it's a standard containment pattern. They expect us to either surrender or try to break through at our weakest point. Predictable, Chen mused. They're fighting the last war. Lieutenant Rivera, status of our quantum drive. Fully charged, Captain. The energy absorbed from their earlier attack actually helped cool the systems faster. We can make up to 15 tactical jumps before requiring a recharge cycle. A new transmission cut through the tense atmosphere. The main screen revealed a Kraxan commander wearing ceremonial battle armor, its compound eyes gleaming with anticipated victory. Human vessel. The alien's translated voice resonated with smug confidence. I am Grand Marshal Kextal of the 7th Battle Fleet. Your resistance, while amusing, ends now. 30 of our most powerful warships will ensure your capture or destruction. Choose wisely. Chen's response was calm, almost casual. Grand Marshal, I notice your ships are arranged in a perfect sphere. Very impressive coordination. The alien's mandibles twitched in confusion at her observation. The sphere of dominion is our most effective battle formation, perfected over 1,000 years of warfare. No single ship has ever escaped it. 1,000 years. Chen smiled. That's a long time to do things the same way. Tactical. Execute maneuver Pascal. The Aegis's quantum drive engaged. Instead of trying to break through the sphere, the ship vanished, only to reappear inside the formation, directly behind one of the massive Kraxan vessels. Before the enemy could react, precisely targeted electromagnetic pulses disabled the ship's primary systems. One down, Zhang reported as the Aegis disappeared again, materializing at a different point inside the sphere. Another Kraxan ship lost power before they could track the human vessel's position. The perfect formation began to break down as ship captains tried to adjust to an enemy that could appear anywhere, at any time. The Kraxans' rigid command structure worked against them. Each tactical adjustment had to be approved by the Grand Marshal, creating crucial delays. Their formation is compromising their firing solutions, Zhang observed. They're afraid of hitting their own ships. Chen nodded. The bigger the fleet, the bigger the target. Time to show them why humans excel at asymmetric warfare. Execute defense pattern Fibonacci. The Aegis began a series of precisely calculated jumps, each one placing them in the blind spot of a different Kraxan vessel. The human ship's smaller size, originally seen as a weakness by the Empire, became its greatest advantage. It could maneuver in spaces the larger ships couldn't risk entering. Grand Marshal is ordering them to break formation. Paddle reported from communications. There's significant confusion in their command channel. The sphere collapsed into chaos as ships tried to evade the Aegis while maintaining their coordinated fire. But the human vessel was never where they expected, using their own massive fleet against them. When Kraxan ships fired, they often hit their allies instead of their target. 5 enemy vessels disabled. Zhang updated. No casualties on their side, but their fleet coordination is shattered. The Grand Marshal's face appeared again, mandibles clicking in fury. Impossible. No ship can move with such precision. Your technology violates the laws of physics. The laws of physics, Chen replied, or just your understanding of them. Humanity has learned that the universe has few absolute limits. Most are simply challenges waiting to be overcome. As if to emphasize her point, the Aegis performed another jump, this time corkscrewing through space in a way that seemed to defy conventional movement. The quantum drive allowed them to briefly exist in multiple probable locations, making their actual position impossible to predict. Their fleet is splitting into smaller groups, Zhang reported. They're trying to reduce their vulnerability to friendly fire. Exactly as expected, Chen said. Humans learned long ago that adaptation is the key to survival. Execute Phase 2. The Aegis's quantum core hummed with accumulated energy as it prepared for the next stage of battle. The Galactic Empire was about to learn another lesson about humanity. Never assume that your enemy has shown you everything they can do. The disabled Galactic ships drifted in space, their crews watching in stunned silence as a single human vessel systematically dismantled the combat doctrine their civilization had relied upon for centuries. It wasn't just a demonstration of superior technology. It was a masterclass in tactical innovation and the human ability to turn perceived weaknesses into decisive advantages. The battle had entered its third hour, and Commander Patel's attention was fixed on the streams of Galactic communications flooding through the universal translator. Every transmission, every order, every frustrated response revealed more about their adversaries. "Captain," she called out, "I'm noticing something fascinating in their command structure. Their ships can't fire weapons without explicit authorization from their squadron leaders, who need approval from the Grand Marshal." Captain Chen moved to study Patel's display. The Aegis had just completed another series of quantum jumps, leaving 3 more Galactic vessels powerless in its wake. A perfect hierarchy. That's why they're so slow to respond to our maneuvers. Not just slow, Patel continued, her eyes tracking multiple communication streams. Their entire society seems built on absolute obedience. Listen to this. One of their ship commanders had a clear shot at us, but waited 40 seconds for firing authorization. By then, we were long gone. Lieutenant Rivera's voice came over the comm from engineering. "Captain, I've been analyzing their weapon signatures. Their technology is incredibly advanced, but they haven't innovated in centuries. Every ship uses identical systems, identical configurations. There's no adaptation, no improvement." Chen's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. A civilization that values conformity over innovation. Perfect execution over creative thinking. "Zhang, what's the status of the enemy fleet?" 12 ships disabled now, Captain. The rest have broken into 3 squadrons, trying to coordinate their attacks. But they're still using textbook formations, just smaller versions of their original strategy. The main screen lit up with another transmission from Grand Marshal Kextal. The Galactic commander's formerly pristine armor was now scuffed, its movements more agitated. "Your cowardly tactics dishonor the traditions of warfare. Face us in direct combat." Chen studied the alien leader carefully. "Traditions, Grand Marshal. Is that what the Empire values most? Following patterns established by your ancestors. Our methods have conquered 10,000 worlds." Kextal raged. Each victory achieved through perfect adherence to the combat doctrines handed down through generations of warriors. "And when you encounter something new," Chen pressed, "something that doesn't fit your doctrines." The Grand Marshal's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation, Patel had noted earlier. "The doctrines account for all possible combat scenarios. Your primitive deceptions cannot change this." The transmission cut off as the remaining Galactic squadrons launched another coordinated attack. But now the Aegis's crew understood their enemy's fundamental weakness. They were prisoners of their own perfection. "They're trying the same pincer movement they attempted 20 minutes ago," John reported. "Exact same vectors, exact same firing patterns. Chen nodded. Because their doctrine says it should work. They blame execution, not strategy, when it fails. Patel, broadcast on all frequencies, tight-beamed directly to their crew channels. Channel open. Captain. Attention, Kraxan warriors. Chen's voice rang with authority. Your ships are superior. Your weapons are powerful. But you're being defeated because your leaders refuse to adapt. Every disabled ship in this battle failed because they followed orders perfectly, orders that couldn't account for our capabilities. The response was immediate. Confusion rippled through the Kraxan fleet as junior officers began questioning orders, asking for clarifications, suggesting modifications to their tactics. The rigid command structure began to crack under the weight of uncertainty. Their formation is breaking down, Jean reported. 2 ships just collided trying to avoid our last attack run. They're not coordinating anymore. Rivera's voice crackled over the comm again. Captain, I think I've figured out why they're so resistant to change. Their quantum technology is fundamentally different from ours. They use fixed points in space-time, pre-calculated jumps. The idea of dynamic quantum manipulation goes against their entire understanding of physics. Then let's show them what they're missing, Chen decided. Prepare the quantum core for gravitational lensing. Time to demonstrate why humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our willingness to imagine new possibilities. The Aegis's quantum drive began to hum with a new frequency as it prepared for a maneuver that would challenge the Kraxan Empire's most basic assumptions about reality. The human ship wasn't just winning a battle, it was forcing an ancient civilization to confront the limitations of its own rigid thinking. Around them, the disabled Kraxan ships bore silent witness to a truth their empire had forgotten. True power comes not from perfecting old methods, but from the courage to embrace new ones. As the remaining enemy squadrons struggled to maintain their failing strategy, the crew of the Aegis prepared to deliver that lesson in a way the Kraxan would never forget. The HSS Aegis hung in space, its quantum core pulsing with accumulated energy. The ship's obsidian hull seemed to bend light around it, a visual preview of what was about to happen. Captain Chen watched as the remaining Kraxan squadrons regrouped for what they surely thought would be their decisive attack. Quantum core at maximum charge, River reported from engineering. Ready for gravitational lensing on your mark. Their commanders are arguing, Patel announced, monitoring the Kraxan communications. Junior officers are demanding tactical changes, but the squadron leaders are threatening punishment for questioning the combat doctrines. Chen smiled. Perfect. Their greatest strength, absolute discipline, has become their greatest weakness. Time to shatter their worldview. Literally. Execute Operation Mobius. The Aegis's quantum drive activated, but instead of jumping to a new location, it created a controlled distortion in spacetime. Light bent around the ship in impossible ways, creating multiple image reflections. For the Kraxan sensors, it appeared as if several Aegis vessels now existed simultaneously. Their targeting systems are going haywire, John reported with satisfaction. They can't determine which image is real because, technically, they all are. The Kraxan fleet's response was immediate and predictable. They fired on all the images, their massive weapons lighting up space with purple energy beams. But the Aegis wasn't in any of the visible locations. The quantum distortion had placed it slightly out of phase with normal spacetime, allowing enemy fire to pass harmlessly through the mirages. Grand Marshal is ordering them to hold fire, Patel said. But half the fleet is ignoring the command. Their communication channels are chaos. No one knows who to listen to anymore. Chen nodded. Send the prepared transmission to their crew channels. Patel's fingers danced across her console. Throughout the Kraxan fleet, every crew member heard Captain Chen's voice. Your empire's greatest lie is that perfection comes from rigid obedience. But the universe doesn't reward those who refuse to evolve. Look around you. How many ships have been disabled because they followed orders perfectly? How many more will fall because they fear adaptation more than defeat? The effect was electric. Junior officers began openly questioning orders. Squadron leaders struggled to maintain control as their subordinates suggested alternative tactics. The Grand Marshal's increasingly desperate commands were met with delays, requests for clarification, or outright defiance. "Their fleet formations are completely broken," Zhang reported. "They're moving individually now, each ship trying different approaches." "And that's exactly what we wanted," Chen said. "A disorganized enemy is far more dangerous to themselves than to us." Rivera, initiate quantum resonance pulse. The Aegis released a carefully calibrated burst of quantum energy. The pulse rippled through space, interacting with the Kraxan ship's own quantum drives. Their perfectly calibrated but inflexible systems couldn't adapt to the unexpected interference. One by one, their engines began to flicker and fail. 17 more ships experiencing drive failures, Zhang announced. "They can maintain life support and basic functions, but they're dead in space." The main screen lit up with Grand Marshal Kexel's transmission. The once proud commander's armor was scared, and several of his subordinates could be seen arguing in the background. "What sorcery is this?" he demanded. "You've corrupted our crews with your chaos. Turned them against the sacred combat doctrines." "No, Grand Marshal," Chen replied calmly. "We simply showed them the truth, that progress comes from questioning, adapting, and growing. Your empire has mistaken stagnation for stability." A junior Kraxan officer pushed into view behind Kextel. "Marshal, the human speaks truth. Our ships are failing because our systems cannot adapt to their quantum interference. If we had updated our technology instead of merely maintaining it." "Silence," Kextel roared, but more voices joined the chorus of dissent. "The doctrines have failed us. We must adapt or perish. The humans fight with wisdom, not just weapons." Chen watched as the Kraxan command structure crumbled in real time. "Your crew understands what your empire has forgotten, Grand Marshal. The universe favors those who can adapt. Humanity survived countless challenges because we never stopped questioning, never stopped innovating, never believed that any way of doing things was beyond improvement." The remaining functional Kraxan ships hung motionless in space, their crews locked in a battle between centuries of conditioning and the undeniable evidence before them. The HSS Aegis had not just defeated their weapons, it had upended their entire worldview. "Captain," Paddle reported with amazement, "they're requesting a ceasefire." "Not just the Grand Marshal. The request is coming simultaneously from every ship in the fleet. They want to talk." Chen straightened her uniform. "It seems the Kraxan Empire is about to learn its final lesson about humanity. We're always ready to extend a hand in peace, even to those who first chose war." 24 hours after the battle, the bridge of the HSS Aegis had been transformed. The tactical displays showed only passive scans, and the quantum core hummed at minimal power. Where there had been tension, now there was cautious optimism as Captain Chen sat across from Grand Marshal Kextel in a hastily arranged conference area. The Kraxan commander had shed his battle armor, revealing an iridescent exoskeleton underneath. His compound eyes studied a holographic replay of the battle, mandibles moving in what Patel had identified as a gesture of deep thought. "Remarkable," Kexel said finally. "In a single engagement, your ship accomplished what no force has done in 2,000 years. You defeated not just our fleet, but our assumptions." "That was never our intention," Chen replied, sipping from a cup of tea. Around them, human and Kraxan officers mingled, exchanging technical information and battle analyses. "We came here to explore, to learn. The conflict was your choice." "Yes." The Grand Marshal's mandibles clicked in what they now recognized as embarrassment. "We saw a single ship and assumed weakness. We saw unfamiliar tactics and assumed ignorance. We saw adaptation and assumed chaos. All because the combat doctrines told us what to think." Lieutenant Rivera, who had been deep in discussion with a Kraxan engineer, approached with a holographic display. "Captain Marshal, we've completed our analysis of the quantum resonance effects. The Kraxan drive systems aren't actually damaged. They just need to be recalibrated to handle dynamic quantum states." "Can you assist with this recalibration?" Kextall asked, then caught himself. "No, forgive me. After our attack, you have no reason to help." Chen smiled. "On the contrary, Marshal, humanity learned long ago that the strongest peace comes from sharing knowledge, not hoarding it. Rivera, assist their engineers with the recalibration." "Captain," Commander Patel called from her station, "we're receiving a transmission from the Kraxan High Command." The main screen activated, revealing a council of Elder Kraxan, their exoskeletons bearing the elaborate markings of supreme authority. They studied the scene on the Aegis's bridge with obvious surprise. "Grand Marshal," the central figure spoke, "explain why you meet as equals with these humans." Kextall rose. "Honor Council, I must speak truth. The combat doctrines are flawed. This single human vessel has demonstrated that unchanging perfection is a path to stagnation. They defeated our finest fleet not through superior numbers or overwhelming force, but through innovation, adaptation, and—" he paused, searching for the right word. "Creativity," Chen supplied. "Yes, creativity," Kextall continued. "They showed us that strength comes not from following old paths perfectly, but from discovering new ones. And when victory was theirs, they chose to teach rather than destroy." The council members chittered among themselves. Finally, the leader spoke again. "Marshal Kextall, you speak of abandoning traditions that have guided our empire for millennia. Why should we consider such a radical change?" Chen stood. "If I may address the council." At their nod, she continued, "Your empire has achieved remarkable things. You've built wonders, united thousands of worlds, created technologies that approach perfection. Imagine what you could achieve if you allowed yourselves to move beyond perfecting the old and began exploring the new." "The human speaks wisdom," a younger council member said. "Our own histories tell us the empire was founded by innovators and explorers. Perhaps it is time to remember that heritage." The council leader's compound eyes studied Chen. "You command a vessel that could have destroyed our fleet. Instead, you disabled our ships while preserving our crews, then offered assistance rather than demands. Why?" "Because humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our tactics," Chen replied. "It's our understanding that the universe is too vast and wonderful for any single perspective to be complete. We advance fastest when we learn from each other." A ripple of agreement passed through the council. "Perhaps," the leader said, "it is time for the combat doctrines to be supplemented with new wisdom. Grand Marshal, you will oversee the establishment of a joint human Kraxan research initiative. Let us see what our species can learn from each other." Hours later, as the first teams of Kraxan engineers began arriving on the Aegis to study quantum drive theory, Chen stood at her usual spot on the bridge. The crew was tired but proud. They had achieved something far greater than a military victory. "Captain," Paddle said, "the Kraxan ships are requesting copies of our first contact protocols. They say their own procedures need updating." Chen smiled. "Send them everything. And prepare a report for Earth. They'll want to know that humanity's first major interstellar contact ended not with the defeat of an empire, but with the beginning of a friendship." The HSS Aegis remained in Kraxan space for several more days, its crew teaching and learning in equal measure. They had come seeking to test a new drive system, and instead demonstrated the true power of the human spirit. The ability to turn conflict into cooperation, to transform enemies into allies, and to always seek understanding, even in the midst of battle. The quantum drive had brought them to this distant region of space, but it was humanity's eternal drive to explore, adapt, and grow that had truly lit the way forward. As the first joint human Kraxan research teams began their work, the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter, illuminating a future filled with possibilities that neither species could have imagined alone.